Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're a parent in today's hyper-accelerated world, you already know firsthand that you're on the front lines of an incredibly difficult battle, right? You're out there trying to raise a capable, kind, and responsible human being, and yet your efforts to teach fundamental values are so often met with eye rolls, slammed doors, and impulsive reactions. It's literally exhausting. In those quiet moments, it can feel like you're fighting this character-building battle entirely alone. But today, we're analyzing a really fascinating blueprint from the Equal Chance Boxing Foundation. We're going to explore how they use the grueling sport of boxing and, crucially, the authentic personal example of their coaches to teach respect, accountability, and self-control through genuine leadership.
Now, to really understand their solution, we first have to look at the problem. Why do modern teens stop listening to us? As a parent, you've probably watched your teenager instinctively grab their phone just to escape an uncomfortable conversation, right? It's like a life raft for them. Well, according to the Foundation's insights, adolescence is a time of profound neurological rewiring. Teenagers are actually biologically programmed to pull away from their parents and seek out external validation. So during this phase, a parent's voice, no matter how loving and well-intentioned, often just begins to sound like nagging to a teenager's ear.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the crisis of modern teen upbringing. We really need to look closely at the systemic hurdles that modern parents face when trying to teach core values, especially in a world that is constantly pulling youth in the absolute opposite direction. We are raising the very first generation of children who have never known a world without algorithms. Algorithms literally designed to give them exactly what they want instantly. This creates a powerful illusion of instant gratification, and honestly, it causes the death of patience. They just lose the ability to sit with discomfort. And even more alarmingly, this creates a massive accountability void. Think about it. In the digital world, actions rarely have immediate tangible consequences. If a teen is losing a game or says something cruel online, what do? They just log off. There is absolutely zero real-world feedback loop.
So when parents try to enforce accountability for those actions, like restricting screen time, the teenage brain perceives it as a massive threat. They build up this huge adolescent wall of defensiveness. And this is exactly why what we call the third space is absolutely essential. It's a vital, perfectly neutral environment outside of the home and outside of the school. Troubled and anxious youth desperately need a place where they can learn hard lessons without feeling like their independence is constantly under attack.
Which brings us to Section 2, genuine leadership and personal example. Okay, so once you actually have a teen in that neutral third space, how do you reach them? The answer is through a very specific kind of authentic leadership. Look, teenagers possess a completely flawless radar for hypocrisy. Standard coaching solutions fail all the time because teenagers simply won't respect a mentor who delivers hollow platitudes about hard work if that mentor hasn't faced real actual hardship themselves. True mentorship requires lived adversity. Authority can't just be a shiny title on a clipboard. It literally has to be derived from survival. And this brings us right to the Foundation's founder and head coach, professional boxer Ivan Redkach. When Ivan moved to the U.S. from Ukraine, he battled a severe language barrier, predatory management, and periods of terrifying financial instability. Times where he didn't even know how he was going to afford his next meal. But he showed up to the gym every single day. So when a defiant teenager hears Ivan passionately say, "I know what it means to have the world against you. I know what it means to be hungry and scared, but your struggles are not an excuse to quit," that adolescent wall we talked about completely crumbles. His empathy and his strict demands are deeply rooted in undeniable lived truth. That personal example changes everything.
Moving on to Section 3, respect as the main currency.
Now, what's really interesting here is how a coach's lived truth actually translates into character building. And it all starts with the touch of gloves. You see, respect cannot be downloaded like an app, and it definitely cannot be forced through yelling. Yelling just creates fearful compliance that totally vanishes the second the coach turns their back. In boxing, respect is an absolute, non-negotiable survival skill. Gym etiquette dictates bowing to the ring, listening without interrupting, and touching gloves. The coaches lead by personal example, modeling this exact behavior and turning respect into an automatic physical reflex. You must show respect to your rival, simply because your opponent is the very person helping you improve and grow.
Furthermore, the gym provides a total clean slate. When underprivileged or troubled youth walk into the facility, they step into a sanctuary of absolute equality under the coach's watchful eye. The heavy bag? It doesn't care about your family's income. It doesn't care about your GPA. All societal baggage is left right at the door. Effort, focus, and sweat are literally the only recognized currency in that room.
This forces teenagers to adapt. The only way to gain status is to work your heart out and lift up the athletes around you.
Section 4. Accountability through immediate consequences.
We all know traditional punishments, like being grounded or getting a bad grade, often fail to translate into true behavioral change. Even in traditional youth sports, a lack of accountability might just mean sitting safely on the bench while blaming the referee or your teammates for a loss. But in the boxing ring, wow, it is physical chess and there is absolutely nowhere to hide. If an athlete drops their hands or forgets to pivot, the physical consequence is immediate. They lose balance or they get caught out of position. This instant feedback loop forces radical ownership of mistakes. You cannot blame anyone else when your own lungs are burning because you decided to skip your roadwork. Accountability is also about reliability. Because it's modeled by coaches who show up for them every single day, the foundation establishes an unbreakable contract between the athlete, the coach, and their peers. For instance, if an advanced teen is scheduled to hold the heavy bag for a really nervous beginner, they must be there. They learn very quickly that people are depending on them. And this beautifully replaces selfish, impulsive behavior with a profound sense of communal duty.
Section 5. Self-control and the cool head rule.
This right here addresses a massive pain point for any parent: impulsive emotional outbursts. Society so often tells angry kids to simply calm down, which, as any parent knows, is basically like throwing gasoline on a fire. Neurologically, they need an outlet. Welcome to the cool head, hot hands technique. Boxing is the ultimate test of self-control because wild, angry punches just leave you exhausted and totally off balance. So to generate true power, the coaches teach teens to physically pause, relax your shoulders, focus your eyes, control your breathing. You literally have to physically pause, process the anger, and then execute a disciplined action. Instead of just suppressing that rage, the coaches teach teens to redirect the fire. They use the heavy bag as a really safe receptacle for all those chaotic emotions. Moreover, coaches use these low-impact, non-violent defensive drills to intentionally induce a tiny amount of stress. Think about it. When a coach throws focus mitts at a teen, the natural instinct is the classic fight, flight, or freeze response. They just want to close their eyes and flinch. But by teaching them to keep their eyes open, breathe out, and slip the punch, coaches are quite literally physically inoculating the teenager's brain against panic.
Section 6. Accessible environment for everyone.
All of this powerful psychology leads to a really crucial operational reality. Absolutely none of these life-saving environments matter if the most vulnerable children are locked out of them. The modern pay-to-play youth sports industry is built on exorbitant monthly fees and super expensive mandatory equipment. It creates an insurmountable wall for hardworking families. But the Equal Chance Boxing Foundation, they operate on a 100% free model. Zero financial burden. Professional gear like 16-ounce gloves and top-tier protective headgear is entirely provided. They outright refuse to accept a society where authentic mentorship and respect are treated as luxury items. And you know what? The coaches take it a step further. Recognizing that simply getting to a gym can be a huge barrier for families without reliable transportation, they refuse to wait for the youth to come to them. Their community training initiative takes this elite mentorship straight to the streets. They deploy mobile boxing rings and gear directly into local parks and underserved neighborhoods. It's incredible. Look, teaching character is rarely a linear process. It's messy, it's frustrating, and it's hard. When a parent is struggling to reach their teenager, they really shouldn't have to carry that immense weight alone. They need a village to step in. And by combining a neutral environment, immediate physical accountability, and the authentic leadership of coaches who have survived real adversity, this foundation is completely rewriting futures.
Which leaves us with this final vital question. If a coach's personal example and immediate physical accountability can completely transform a teenager's character inside the boxing ring, how could free, accessible mentorship reshape the future of your own community? It's a powerful thought to take away, proving that when we break down the barriers to true leadership, the potential for our youth is absolutely limitless.